Hola, soy Ariel Saga y bueno, acá tenemos a Rudy Rochman con nosotros, que acaba de dar aquí una ponencia muy entretenida y muy buena en el Colegio Yavne. Bueno, Rudy, thank you for coming to Mexico and meeting us and tell us everything. Where you came from and what did you do to get into this fighting about antisemitism? So my first question is, how you decided to get into social media after all you've been through?
So I think social media is a tool. It's a tool that could be used for the good, and it's a tool that could be used for the bad. We see a lot of fake news and hatred being spread on social media, but that's just a way to use it. You could also use it to spread light and to spread truth. So I was a student at Columbia University, which I attended it because I knew that it was listed the #1 most anti-Semitic school in North America. I wanted to create a movement that spread light to the Jewish people and to Israel. And I realized that social media and videos could also be a tool to do so. There was these voices against Israel and against the Jewish people. If we exposed them, if we showed light where there was darkness, we showed why those ideas were wrong, we can change the perception of the pop culture while also simultaneously giving a first eye view and a window into those experiences to others that may have never even imagined being in those situations, but when they see it, it gives them the courage and ability to know how to deal with it. So that's how it started while I was a student.
Amazing, first of all. I'm amazed. And my second question, last year before the pandemic, you went into the APAC and you went outside to talk with the protesters and many people to share opinions. What was the opinion that impacted you the most against Israel?
So I've been in these APAC conferences for a very long time. My first one was in 8th grade, actually. Mm-hmm. And for me, I found it very troubling that I go to a conference that has so many different people, and that the substance being spoken about there is usually, in my opinion, not so deep. And you have these politicians who come and talk about their support for Israel, but they don't talk about the future really. They don't talk about things that are, for me, I guess, entertaining or in a way intellectually stimulating or something that I can feel I can learn from. So there was one year that I was there and I heard a politician saying some very shallow stuff. And I said, you know what, let me go outside. I heard there were some protesters. I saw them screaming outside. Let me speak to them. Let me engage. Let me understand where they're coming from. Let me even try to show them some light to what is actually happening. And I started to realize that there were a lot of things that I wasn't prepared for in those conversations, and worked to try to get to a place that I could be prepared, understanding the counter-narratives. Now, what I would say is what most affected me in those protests is oftentimes I go outside and I see there's one side that is the Israel side, and one side that is the Palestinian side, even supporters of Israel, supporters of Palestinians, and they're split by the police, and they're chanting and screaming at each other. And sometimes I find myself looking at it and seeing like, the vast majority of you actually agree on the majority of things. And if you took the time, an ounce of the energy that you're spending in fighting, to understand the other and to work in order to grow together, we wouldn't have a conflict anymore. And so for me, it's very frustrating that we've been so polarized that we're not even able to communicate, to transcend. And so a lot of the work that I do is not to beat the other side, but to remove this idea that we should be sides.
Amazing. Wow. 2 more questions. First, last year you started a movement in your social media and started like a debate or an open table with Palestinians and to talk about peace and the future of both lands. How that has been for you and like your growth into these ideas that people have about the conflict?
Yeah, I mean, look, with time we grow, we evolve, we learn, and with time as well I've been able to understand the world in a much more holistic perspective, understanding that we're really all a part of one, and that Israelis and Palestinians are even more so a part of that one, that they're really cousins on this land, that there's way more similarities than differences that we have, and usually people who think that we have much differences are people who haven't met really the other side. And so I didn't start this movement, it was created before by Inon Dan Kahati, a friend of mine, and I joined it when I saw what it was about. And for me, it's really an outlet to play a role in shifting the way that Israel functions and the way that the Middle East functions and the way that Israelis and Palestinians will live their lives, because I have the intention of living in Israel. I have the intentions of bringing children into Israel, and I would like my children to live in a reality that is better than mine. In a reality where Palestinian children and my children can live on one land together, and that they both experience this land as a civilization that respects their culture, their aspirations, and their future. and that we're able to then not spend our energy in fighting each other, but actually being productive in creating something rather than working to try to destruct each other.
And last question, what do you leave us, the people in the Gola, how do we fight anti-Semitism? What are the steps to accomplish what you have done?
So each person has a different skill, right? Some people are good at public speaking, some people are good at videos, some people are good at math, science, medicine, art. Everyone has their own abilities. And there's not one way to change things. There's many ways. Even in an army, you have the foot soldiers, you have the intelligence, you have the Navy, you have the Air Force, so everyone has to play a different role. The advice that I would give is not, this is what to do, but more so, this is how you should look at yourself. Mm-hmm. Every individual should understand that we all have a purpose to play. And I would say, I do this every single morning when I wear tefillin, but I would recommend someone to do it at least twice a year, and to focus in saying, what are the problems that my eyes see? And the reason your eyes see those problems is because it's connected to your soul, and your soul is feeling a drive to go and change something in the world. So what are the problems that I see? And what are the skills that I have that I was born with? What are the skills that I can work on to obtain and to enhance myself? And how do I apply those skills with the problems that I see to make the world a better place? Both on the individual level and also with a team, with a group, with a family organization, as a collective level, both with trying to convince an individual on the micro level and also trying to shift the society on a macro level. So I would say that's the way to look at the situation. Now, each country is different. Each campus is different. Even 4 years, you have a new campus, right? The freshmen came in, they became sophomore, junior, senior, they graduate, all of a sudden you have a brand new campus. So even with time, the places that were supposed to be the same all of a sudden change. So we have to be very much so in tune with that evolution and the change and the differences with different places. And it's not about this is what to do, it's more this is how to look at yourself in order to understand what you should do.
I'm going to use another question. You are with a young people here. You were here by many. You are in social media.
Yes.
Yes. What you do in social media? How do you think, or how have you seen it has impacted in Jewish young people and in non-Jewish young people? It has changed their mind, their vision about Judaism or about Israel. How have you seen it?
Not only has it changed the minds and people's when they watch the videos, and I get 30 plus messages a day of people saying that I've changed their life through the videos that I made, but also in the videos themselves, you can see interactions where an individual starts by saying, Israel's the worst thing in the world, you're a killer, you're a monster, you're a baby killer, and at the end of the conversation, they're giving a hug and saying that you're my brother. So even in the videos themselves, you can see that change. But I think that question is more for you. You know, how has experiencing the content that I create been able to help you?
Well, I started to follow you like 4 years ago. You popped up in my suggestions on Facebook, and the first video I saw it was you on UCLA, and the arguments you gave, how you gave them like with feelings, and you just wanted to share an opinion. You didn't want to fight the other opinions. You just want to know the other opinions, and it has changed my life for good because now I have the arguments and the ways to do it. So thank you very much, Rudy.
Of course, and I only hope, like I said to you earlier, take that and spread it to others, because I'm here for a few days in Mexico, but you continue to be here, so
exactly.
The responsibility of this future here in this society is on you, not on me.
And the last one, Rudy, you said in your conference about Holocaust and that we didn't do before, our job before.
Yes.
Are we doing it today?
No.
Correct? What should we do and what the young people have to do? Because you say we're not doing it. So what do we have to do?
If we were doing it correctly, we wouldn't be seeing anti-Semitism. And I would say in order to do things correctly, the Jewish people should know who they are, should be strong, should know how to debate, to do public speaking, to narrate their story, to know how to counter arguments, to shift pop culture to understanding who the Jewish people are, and to unite Am Yisrael with a mission statement in order for us to move forward and to accomplish what our purpose is. I think if we focused on that, we would be doing our purpose and we wouldn't see anti-Semitism.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ariel. It was a very interesting interview with both of you. Thank you very much.
תודה רבה.